Hey guys, so this is a 1979 MG Midget 1500. I have taken this on with my son as a project, and to say that it's a project might be a little bit of an understatement. As you can see, the front lance here is completely just rusted out and gone. That's going to have to be replaced. The hood is not in bad shape. The fenders aren't in too bad a shape. They're already unbolted, so should be able to get them off pretty easy. The doors, where they have a little bit of rust around them, I think they're salvageable. The sill is what they call it, I think, but the basically the rocker panels, they're rough, but I think they're salvageable with a little bit of work. The rear fenders, not too bad. Down here I've got a little bit of rust going on there. I'm not sure what's going to happen there. The trunk is in good shape. The rear valance, from what I can tell, looks to be in really good shape. No real bad rust, but the rubber bumpers coming off this thing. You take the rubber bumpers off and it gives it a nice rounded look. I like the way that looks, so that's what we're going to go for on the front as well. We will not be putting the rubber bumper back on the front. This rear fender got a little bit of problems, not too bad. This door got a little bit of rust at the bottom, just like the other, not too bad. This front fender is not in too bad a shape. It's already unbolted too, that's why it looks like that. But this rocker or sill, outer sill, is rusted out pretty bad. I'm gonna have to check it out. Now, as you can tell, the top, well, I say top, but there ain't much left of it. It's rotten. There's nothing left. I have taken PB Blaster to all these little pivots, and they're all froze up. The only thing moving is that down there. So I would say that we're probably going to end up removing the top completely. Not even worry about putting a new top on at this point, and just doing away with the top completely. Maybe not even put one ever back on it, I'm not sure. So inside the car, back over to this side here, the inside of the car is not, the dash is okay. I've seen some where the dash was all cracked up and bad shape. The dash looks okay. The seats are not too bad. I'll probably end up taking the seats out of this thing, sticking them in storage somewhere. Probably maybe even replacing the seats with some racing bucket seats to try to get a little more clearance, because I'm not exactly small and this thing is small. My son is not exactly small, so he's not going to have a whole lot of room in this thing either. He has a little trouble getting in and out of it right now. So wow, seat belts look a little rough. I may have to replace them. My main concern is down there. Yeah, that's pretty bad. I don't know if it's just a couple spots where the seats have been sitting. The seats have been bolted, taken, the bolts taken out and everything. Everything else in the inside the compartment of the car, or the cab of the car, looks to be okay, except for under the seats. The floor pans are a little rusty and got dirt and stuff in them, but they don't seem to have holes down through them yet. So yeah, the wheels, there's one type of wheel, there's a spare, and there's Josie the cat coming to investigate what we're doing. There's a totally different kind of wheel. Oh, well, there's two wheels that match. So yeah, it's gonna need 4 wheels and tires. And then, if I can get this thing open, the hood is already released or unlatched. There it is. It's already unbolted. The engine compartment can stand some work. Overall, it's not in bad shape. I think with a little wire brush, some degreaser, clean it out really good, I should be able to paint this thing maybe black. I think it's what I'm going to go for. Maybe some kind of an enamel paint, something to just clean it up a little bit, make it look a little nicer in here. Looking at the underside of the hood, got a little bit of surface rust. Seems to be pretty solid still, but I'll do a little work on it, try to clean it up a little bit. Inside the trunk, let's have a look inside the trunk here. Well, inside the trunk looks pretty clean, actually. I don't see any rust. Everything looks pretty good in here. Some spare parts. The trunk is in here. There's a spare tire. That's a good thing. So I'm not sure what all parts may be missing for this thing. I'm not sure what we're going to end up with. I think that marker light's going to have to be replaced. This rear light, may be able to use it for a while, but it's going to have to be replaced. It's busted on the top. That one over there's got water sitting in it, so I'd say it's the same thing. The one of the reverse lights is missing. That reverse light is still there. Looks like we're missing the license plate mount. So yeah, to say this is a project, it's a big project. But I'll definitely like the way it looks without the rubber bumper on the front. They make a grill. Actually, it's for the older models, that covers up the hole there in the middle. Looks really nice. Kind of looks like a well, it looks like the I can't remember what years. This is a 79, 74 to 79 with the Midgets had the rubber bumpers. The Midgets pre-74 did not have the rubber bumper, and they had a grill, and that grill still fits this body style. Now, as for the motor and transmission, here's the transmission, or the gearbox is what they call it. It is a 4-speed manual transmission. When I received this thing, as you can see, there is no head on the top of it. The cylinder walls are a little bit rough. They had a little bit of surface rust on it, so I put some PB Blaster down inside the cylinders because it was seized up a little bit, and I was able to get on the flywheel here, and and got it broke free. Once it broke free, I was able to make one full revolution. Nothing seized up. Actually, once it released, it was pretty smooth. So don't think there's any issues there. But I will be taking the oil pan off of it. I will be pulling. I'm not going to pull the crank. I'm not going to pull the camshaft and all that stuff. I will be pulling the rings and the pistons out, honing the cylinders to try to smooth them out, and then I will be putting a standard set of rings back in it. I'm going to try not to go too far with the honing. I'm just going to knock it down and smooth it out. Replace the rings, put it all back together. I'm not going to be replacing any of the bearings, the cam bearings, or the crank bearings, or anything like that. I'm trying to keep this thing as low budget as I can. If I get the thing running and I get it all put back together and find out that I have a complete car that works, then I may start working on fixing this and fixing that, and maybe taking a little further. But at this point, this is a real low budget, just trying to put the thing back together. I was told when the car was taken apart, it was smoking. So they were going to pull the head. I guess they were going to do something with the valves. And put it all back together and try to get it working. This is the current condition of the head. As you can see, there's significant amount of rust on the top of the head. The underside of the head, that's gaskets. I'm thinking the bottom of this thing might be okay as far as the sealing surface. There's the carburetor, or the carburetor's right there, I'm sorry. There's the intake and everything. I checked the rockers. The rockers all seem to be freed up. Nothing seized up. Push rods all seem to be straight and clean and pretty good shape. These valves, I'm going to try to clean them up. That one's not in too bad a shape. Some of these things, yeah, look, that one's in real bad shape. That one's pretty bad shape. So I'm going to clean these things up in a parts washer. Go ahead and try to see what I can make of them. Try to clean this head up the best I can. I'll definitely be relapping the valves, but I may go ahead and push these valve seats out, or valve guides out, and order new ones. They're only like $1.10 or something for the steel ones, or if I go with bronze, I'm not sure, or it's either brass or bronze. I don't know why that would be any better, but instead of being $1 each, they were $10 each. But I'll probably just go with the regular cast ones just to get this thing put back together, to see what the status is, see if it even runs, see if I can get the thing put back together, and see what parts I'm missing. So yeah, this is quite a project. Now I did, before I took the valves out, while the valves were still in here, I put PV Blaster down in all of these intakes and exhaust ports, and filled it up past the stem of the valve, so that if there was a leak, I would see it, and let it sit for several hours. And there was no leaks, there was no fluids coming out of these. But if I stick this valve in there, I've got just a little bit of play in that one, for example. That one's got a little more. that one doesn't have hardly any. So I think that might have been, that one's not too bad. That might have been where the oil was coming from. That one's got a little bit. So they all kind of vary, but he said that it was burning oil. It was not a head gasket. It was burning oil. So, but it had been sitting for 13 years. All right, so anyway, back to this thing. So they said it was smoking oil before, or it had been sitting for 13 years. They got it running. It said it was smoking, and it never quit smoking. Once it warmed up, it slowed down a little bit, but it was still smoking. And they pulled the head off, and it sat for another 7 years. So I'm not sure what's going on with it. So we're going to try to get the motor put back together and see what we can figure out. And oh, there you go, 28,000 original miles. So I do know also, while I was doing some investigation on this thing when I first got it home, the top hinge is good. This A-pillar, as you can see it down here, it's rotten. So that A-pillar is going to have to be replaced in the bottom at least. And it's the same thing on the other side. It's hard to get that door to shut once you get it open, because that A-pillar is so rotten on that side, and the hinge is locked up. So yeah. So yeah, this is my project. My son has decided that he wants to take this car to prom in 2 years. Lucky me. Here we go. Get that thing off there. That looks a little better without all that trash on there. Yeah, this thing is in rough shape. So we will take it one thing at a time. Like I said, my first thing I'm going to be doing is getting everything out of the cockpit here. I'm going to get the seats out, get them put away somewhere where they're out of the weather. Get everything out of the inside of it so I can assess the floor a little better. Probably be reinforcing or putting new floor pans in where needed. And I'm probably not going to put carpet back in it, just because while you can order carpet and everything for it, I'm not real worried about it. What I'll probably do is get all the old carpet out of it and put spray in bed liner through the whole inside of it or something. Just something to keep it a little more protected. Like I said, I'm just trying to get this thing running and back on the road. Not necessarily to be a daily driver. Like I said, I may not even put a top back on it. I may just put it in some kind of a build me a little shed or something to put this thing in. The thing's barely bigger than a go-kart, so it wouldn't take much to store the thing. But yeah, I may just get rid of the top completely and do away with it for now. And if we ever get the thing running, then I may consider getting a top, maybe a hard top put back on it, or just go back with another soft top and replace the spring. I may try soaking these pivots a little more and see if I can't get them to loosen up. But like I said, I soaked them all with JB Weld. I couldn't get them to, or not JB Weld, PV Blaster. and could not get anything to budge. So we'll see what happens. Maybe it'll eventually free up if I just keep working with it, but that's where we sit right now. As far as I can tell, the windows all work and everything, all the window mechanisms and everything like that. I do have a mirror on this side. That's a bonus. I didn't see one on the other side. Yeah, it's missing the mirror on this side, so I have to get me a mirror. So yay, I may have bitten off more than I can chew. We'll see. He wants it to be white and red, so it'll be getting a paint job eventually, I guess, but I just don't know when. It'll be a while. All right, so apparently the PB blaster on this top has broke free everything, because now it's working. Not great, but each time I move it, it's doing better. So at least we still have the frame for this thing, so I can leave it on there to protect or hold the tarp up so it's not pulling. But I can push it back out of the way to be able to get in here to do some work, so I don't have to unbolt it, which that's a good thing. So all right, well, let's see what else we can tear up on this thing. All right, guys, so upon further investigation, as you can see, there's not much left of this seat. So this whole seat is going in the trash. The seat is even in worse shape than the other one, so it's going in the trash. There's nothing salvageable on these seats. This was part of the heater, and as you can see, it's just a little bit on the dry rotted side, so it's going in the trash as well. Floor is hit and miss. It's not as bad as I expected, but it's worse than I expected. This side is not as bad as I expected. Got a hole here, but it seems to be fairly solid everywhere else. There's a hole there and a hole there. That's where the seats were mounted, and I think it's just where the bolt holes were. This side seems to be pretty solid. That rust all sitting on top down there is from the frame of the seat. Now the other side is a totally different animal. I'm a bit concerned about this other side. So the frame right here is solid on both sides. That's a good thing. When I got to digging around, I don't know if you can see the little bit of daylight up in there. That's in the front floor. It's pretty rough. This is all from the seat, like the frame of the seat on this side. And while it doesn't look too bad up here, that's pretty bad. That's got me concerned. Actually, the seat belt, I think, was bolted about right there, and as you can see, there's nothing left of that. This part of the car seems to be pretty solid. This seems to be solid up to this point. So I'll probably end up cutting this out and fixing this whole side of the floorboard up to there will have to be cut out. And replaced, but I have something I weld onto there, and it obviously welds onto there, and then here, this, well, this is eat out pretty bad here too. So I may end up replacing that inner seal as well. The outer seal here obviously is pretty well rotted. This seems to be the worst of the whole car right here. So I'll probably do away with all of this carpet trim, all this other stuff, except for what's on the inside of the doors. I'll probably leave that, maybe order new ones or something eventually, but yeah, I'll probably take all this stuff out and just and put spray and bed liner or something, replace the seat belts. The mechanisms seem to be okay. Actually, the seat belts don't look bad. They catch like they're supposed to, but when it comes to safety, that is one thing I'm not gonna go cheap on. I'll go ahead and replace the seat belts. I'll make sure they've got a good solid place to bolt on. You know, those seat belt hooks here, the part that snaps into, they're looking pretty rough, so I'll replace them as well. I'm not gonna chance on safety there, but overall inside here, other than what looks terrible, it's not really as bad as it looks, because that's all from the frame of the seat. So yeah, this thing is it's just crumbling. Every time you touch it, it just falls apart. So yeah, the seats are junk. Those, I did figure out what those are. Those go on the insides of the footwells, down inside there, but I probably won't worry about putting them back either. Wow, what a project. So yeah. All right, so upon further investigation of the trunk, I found that I do have a mirror. I have 3 very tiny windshield wipers. That's probably the smallest windshield wipers I've ever seen in my life. It's pretty comical actually, but when you look at the size of the windshield, it's not exactly large. It's pretty funny. Hey, look, they all work together. So at least that's not froze up completely. But yeah. Oh look, the last time it was inspected was 1989. Wow, it's been a while back. So did manage to find some other interesting stuff. There's one of the wheels, probably the one that the spare up on the front is replacing right now. It's bad shape though. I want to end up having to get 4 new wheels for this thing. Not really sure what part that is off the top of my head, but there's that part, and a couple other odds and ends. The chrome piece for the back of the top here is there. That's a good thing. I'll hang on to that. So overall, the trunk looks pretty good though, and there's the license plate holder. I did find that, and that goes It's upside down, I think. Just like that right there. Yeah, just like that. So at least I have that. I may not end up putting that piece back on. I may end up making something custom or something, make it look a little nicer. I like the way these things look without the bumpers and with the rounded look and everything. So I might make a couple custom pieces just to make it look a little nicer. But yeah, found the shifter knob. It was wedged down in the seat, so that'll make Trey happy. He just wants to get in it and pretend like he's driving. I don't think he really cares if he drives it. He just wants to pretend. So I'll probably stick that seat back in there just for him to sit on so he can pretend until we get a real seat to put in there. But yeah, this is a lot of work. I may have, like I said, bitten off more than I can chew, but it is what it is. So, father-son project at its best. We'll see what happens. Oh, I also found the massive glove compartment here. I guess that just bolts up in there, and then there's the front of it. I probably won't even put that thing back in there. It's in pretty bad shape. I might try. We'll see what happens. I don't know. Not that we really need it, and it would give a little more leg room down in there without it, so I may just leave it out and go with it. So for now, I'm going to stick all these spare parts back in the trunk. I'll be doing away with that old wheel because I'm not using that. I want to, like I said, get 4 new wheels. I got a guy in Wheeling that I'm going to get with in March. I think he said he was going. He's got a place in Texas, and he has 4 original wheels for this thing that he's going to give me for like $100. So I will be getting those in a couple months and putting some decent, go ahead and put some decent tires on it, because right now at this point I can't even roll the thing. That tire won't hold air, that tire won't hold air, so I'll at least get it to where it's a rolling frame. I can roll it up here and in and out, and as I work on it and stuff, that way it's mobile, because right now it's not mobile. We had to actually drag it off the trailer because I think that rear brake drum is locked up. All the other wheels were turning, but I'm not sure if this one wasn't turning because the wheel, the tire's so flat, or if it was actually locked up. I may actually try jacking it up here in the next couple days or weeks or so. Jack up the rear end of it and make sure that everything is solid on the rear end. Like I said, I'm a little bit concerned about this area right here, all that rot, because that's where the rear spring, leaf spring mounts, is right where all that rot is. So I may end up having to reconstruct that area. So yeah. Alright guys, we're going to start working on this valve, these valves and this head today. Just got a little pan here. I don't have a solvent tank, so we're just got a little drain pan that we've got some purple power in, and this stuff is really potent, and apparently I've lost a glove somewhere.
Great.
So I guess I'll work with one hand.
How about you have these gloves and I have one 'Cause I don't know what I'm doing.
You're gonna learn.
Great.
So we're gonna try cleaning these valves up. We're gonna try cleaning this head up and see if we can't make heads or tails of it and get it cleaned up some here. All right, guys. So we got this head cleaned up pretty good. We got the most of the rust and crap off of it. I was actually pretty happy with the way it turned out. I had bought these little suction cups to lap the valves, and the surface of the valves are like really rough. That shouldn't affect the way the car runs. The lip, the edge that seats on the head, it's okay. It's not pitted or anything, but I can't get that on there, so I'm just going to use my drill. I've used some shop cloths here to go around the end of the valve to make sure I don't scuff it up or nick it up. And all I'm going to do is I put the lapping compound on here, and I'm just going to pull it back, go at a really slow pace, bring it out, bring it back in. And I'm just going to sit here and do this for a little bit to get the valve seated in nice and a good fit, everything all shiny and looks good, and then I'll move on to the next one, get all 8 of these done, and then I'll start putting the valves and stuff back together. All right, guys, so I had some camera difficulties, didn't realize it, and my memory card was full and I didn't know it. So we were able to get the head mostly put back together. I did get the valves are all seated. This is the how the surface of the valve, or the head side of it, seated or turned out. You can see here on the head, but that's inside the cylinder. That's not where the head gasket sits. There's some pitting on that one and some real bad pitting on that one. So I don't know if there was some moisture that got in those cylinders at some point. There had to have been. But everywhere else on the surface, it looks really good. The valves, I lapped all the valves and got them seated in good. Get it turned around here. I got all of the valve springs, all the keepers and everything. I got all that stuff put back together. This side of the head was really rusty. I don't know if you guys remember seeing it before, but it was in bad shape. This thing has turned out really good, cleaned up really nice. The exhaust and intake side turned out really nice. I cleaned out the intakes. Let's see if you can see one of them here. I don't know. It's kind of hard to do with the... you can't really see it too well, but I kind of polished a little bit on the intakes to try to make it as smooth as I could, get as much crud and everything out of there the best I could. Same thing on the bottom side down here it's sitting on, where the thermostat and everything goes. It was pretty rough. Of course, there was still a gasket on there. We got it all taken off, and so the head is mostly put back together. Should be good to go. I'm gonna next thing I'm gonna do is I'm gonna get a motor stand to set the motor on, and that way I can go ahead and pull the oil pan off, pull the cylinders out, hone the cylinders and all that good stuff. But that'll be in the next video. Just wanted to show the progress of the head. So I think we're good here. I did take a level to the bottom side of the head here to make sure that it was a good flat surface. Everything looks good. Like I said, there was only 28,000 miles on this motor, so I don't think there's any issues. The valves are all seated in really good. There's a good seal on them and everything, so I don't think there's a problem there. Something that I may do when I first got this head, or when I first got the car, I laid it up on its end, and I filled each one of these ports, exhaust and then intake ports, up with PV Blaster. I don't know that I'm going to do PV Blaster. I may put some WD-40 in there, I don't know. But I filled it up to where if it was going to leak, it would have leaked around the valves. I may do that, or I may not. I may just leave it like it is and do a compression test when I get the motor put back together and make sure I got good compression on everything. But each one of these things, every one of these valves looks like it's seated in really good. So I lapped them all with lapping compound and used my handy dandy little spring compressor here to get the valve springs back on. And so that's the progress, and as I work on the next step of it, I'll get in touch with you guys and put out another video. So that's it. Hey guys, so I didn't want to keep you guys bored watching me work on this thing, so I'm back out here working on the motor of the MG. What I did today was I got the rockers and everything cleaned up. Got them cleaned up really nice. I got the valve cover cleaned up really nice. I'm not sure. I'll probably end up painting it once it's all said and done. But right now, what I've done is I just cleaned it really good with degreaser. When I put the valve cover cap back on it. I cleaned inside of it as well. This thing was black and just like syrup inside of it. Cleaned it out really good. I went ahead and put the rockers on here. I did not tighten them because I'm going to have to take them off to make sure that the push rods and everything line up once I put the head on. So I just got them on there finger tight to hold it together right now. And then also I've got a jar here. It's got the push rods in it. What I've got here is a tote that I got at Harbor Freight or Home Depot. And this tote has a rubber seal around the lid, as you can see. So what I am doing that for is because I get a little bit of condensation moisture buildup in my building, and I don't want this thing to sit here and rust. So what I've done is drop the head down in here. I'm going to go ahead, I've already soaked this thing down, sprayed it down with WD-40 so that it won't rust, hopefully. That white gunk is just lube, assembly lube that I put on there. And as you can see, each one of these things slide just a little bit. I just squirted some down inside there to give it some lubrication once the thing finally fires up. If it does, we'll see what happens. But right now they're all really nice and free. There's no sticking, no grinding. Everything feels good. So I'm just going to take this thing and I'm going to end up putting a new valve cover gasket on here also. But for now, I'm just going to sit her on here and stick my little screws on here that thread down onto it, just enough to hold the valve cover on, and that'll do two things for me. That'll keep it from, hopefully, from rusting, because it's got all that WD-40 in there, and it'll also keep any debris from getting in there. So that is the plan. Like I said, I'm keeping this thing sealed up. I'm going to actually probably soak the whole thing down with WD-40 here again before I put the lid on it and seal it up. But everything in here is looking pretty good. I did do a little bit of work to the motor a little bit ago as well. There's not enough light out there to show you what I did. I started working on the top of the head where the head gasket was, and so I got most of the head gasket off. I got I ran it a little bit to make sure that all of the cams, or not the cams, but the lifters. All the lifters are freed. All of them are moving up and down like they're supposed to. Didn't check anything else really a whole lot in depth. Would like to, I was able to stick my drill on it and get it to turn over, kind of like using it as a starter to get it to turn over, make sure everything felt good. Didn't see any oil pumping yet, but I don't know that there's a whole lot of oil down inside of it, and I didn't run it a whole lot. So, but I did spray some WD-40 down in the cylinder walls, kind of letting the rings kind of, scrape some of the crap out of there. I'm going to end up honing it anyway, but it was cleaned out pretty good before I did that, so there was no big debris or anything huge in there that would tear up the cylinder walls. Also, would like to put a little, probably hook a gas tank up to the fuel pump and do that again, maybe tomorrow or something, to see if the fuel pump is working, to see if I'm going to end up having to replace it or possibly change it over to an electronic. I'm not sure what that would take, but probably easier than fooling with the mechanical one, unless I just order a new one. All right, guys, this is the motor out of the 1979 MG Midget. I believe it's considered a 1.5 liter. I'm not 100% sure of that. It's a 1500 cc motor. What all have I done to this thing so far? Let's see. It's got a new starter, new fuel pump, and the starter, I don't have it bolted up permanently here. I've just got this on here makeshift. I'm waiting on a spacer. You MG guys might be able to put in the comments down here, if I take that nut off between there, then the starter hits the flywheel. So I had to put that nut on there to space it out. I don't know if this is the wrong starter, but the other starter I have, the old one, is exact same way. So new fuel pump. The oil filter they sent me was the wrong kind, so I ended up putting the old oil filter back on. I've got the whole front end put back on here. Even though there's a little surface rust here on this is a brand new water pump. Don't think there's much to see on the other side. It's got new plugs, the new rings, new head gasket, new valve cover gasket, and I've got the thing ready for a new thermostat, which is right here, but I don't have any RTV. I've got a gasket, but I want to put some RTV around it because that's a little bit rough right there. New exhaust manifold and intake gasket, new hardware holding it on because the old one's got all bent up and rusty. I think this thing will run. I'm pretty sure it's going to run all right. It's also got a new valve, or a new oil pan gasket. I didn't take any of the front end, like the main crank pulley, off. I didn't take it or the timing chain cover off. The engine only has 30 some thousand miles on it, so I'm just gonna hope for the best and see what happens. There's my oil pressure sensor. I did put my meter on it, and I'm reading about 600-700 ohms with it not turning over. And once I hook the jump box directly to the starter, I get, it goes open, so that tells me I got oil pressure. And another way I know I'm getting oil pressure is apparently I've got a couple small, very small leaks. I'm not really sure. I think one of them might be on the front of the, you see a little spot there and a little spot right there. I'm pretty sure that the one on the front is the timing chain cover. And the one on the back, I'm not 100% sure. It's kind of located where the rear main seal would be. So maybe that's what that is. But yeah, that's where we're at right now. So yeah, if any of you MG guys out there know what might be going on there with the starter, this was a direct replacement from AutoZone or Advance or somewhere. I don't remember where I even got it. But the spacing from right here on the front of this to right here is exactly the same. So no matter what I do, when I put it on there, without that nut right there in the middle, it hits the flywheel and it won't work. So give you guys a it turns over good. Just need to get some fuel hooked up to the thing and get some spark to it, which fuel isn't a big deal. I could plumb in my boat tank to that in no time. But it's got electronic ignition, and I don't really have a way easily to get it off of the car and bring it in here and hook it up, or I would and just start it here on the stand for a minute to hear it run. So it looks like I'm going to be putting the transmission back on this thing very, very soon and getting out and putting it in the car, and hopefully it'll fire up. I did put the jump box on the car a while ago, and my son was out there with me, and we were able to verify things like, when you turn the key switch on, the wipers work and the turn signals work and all that good stuff, but we didn't really go in depth. The horn doesn't seem to work, but it may be unhooked. I got one wiring harness that's unhooked out there. I've got to do some research on that and try to figure out why, or not why, but what goes to what. I do have another question for you MG guys if you're watching this. This is the old water pump. It's completely seized up. However, the fan clutch is not, and I do not see a physical way of getting that off to go on to the new one. So I'm not real sure what to do. If I can't figure out how to get it off, I may end up just putting an electric fan on the back of the radiator, which would reduce some of the drag on the motor anyway. So that was interesting. I just saw a drip. Where did that come from? Coming from up here. Oh, that's the coming out of the reservoir for the antifreeze. Must have shifted. So that's where we're at right now. I know it don't look like much, but the main parts have been rebuilt and ready to go. So hopefully I'll get this thing started for you guys sometime soon. Thanks for watching. Make sure to like and share, subscribe. Yeah, that word, subscribe. And I'll give you some more updates soon. All right, guys. So we've got the transmission moved here, or the gearbox. It's very small. And that's it right there. I did get the shifter out of the car. Went in and stuck it in here just to see, make sure everything was freed up. And everything looks good. the throwout bearing appears to be in pretty good shape. It's nice and there's no play or slop or anything in it. The actuator for it is actually hydraulic on this thing, and it's got a solenoid here. So I'm able to actually grab a hold of it here and pull in and out on it. But so it does work. It is free, but I'm probably gonna have to replace that thing. It's pretty crusty in there. But I may end up replacing this too. The clutch is not in too bad a shape. I may throw it on there and see what happens. I don't really know. And then that's not that great a shape, but it's not bad. I'm trying to keep from you spending very much money on this thing. I'm just trying to get it put back together and running. But yeah, if I stick this thing on here so I can get some leverage on it. We'll stick it in first gear here. You can see when I twist it's first gear. But I went through all the gears. All the gears work. Reverse works. All that good stuff. But it's a little dirty. But what do you expect? The car has not been on the road since 1990. Was the dead inspection sticker on it. So we're looking at what, 30, almost 33 years. So yeah, it's been a while since it was last on the road. So my next objective is to get the motor mounted up to it and get it all put back together, get me an engine hoist, and get this thing put back in the car and see if we can't get her to fire up. But there's the transmission or gearbox. Give you guys a so it turns over good. Just need to get some fuel hooked up to the thing and get some spark to it. All right, guys, just a quick update on the MG here. I ended up selling it to a buddy of mine, so this project has come to an end. But he is going to get with me when he's ready to fire the engine up, and once he gets done. So just keep watching the channel, and eventually we'll get a video of the car being done, hopefully sometime soon. Guy that bought it is really good with cars. He'll have the thing looking like showroom condition, I have no doubt. So but as soon as I can get in there with a camera to get some video of it, I'll try to get an update on it. So just keep watching the channel for it, and we'll see you guys whenever I have an update. Make sure to like, share, and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next fun project.